Hey, boys and girls, and mom. Ken Smith, KenSmithFishing.com. Hey, Bo. Uh, this week is the Rayburn Report. It's going to be the Outlaw Outdoors Father's Day tournament, which was actually Saturday before Father's Day. Moon Pie, Steve Evans, and I had it's a three fish tournament. We had three fish, weighed 1583. Had finished second place. We were thrilled with that result. We culled, I think, a 380 and a 420 before the day was out. So we had something in the really high 23, almost 24 pound range for five fish. And it's interesting, you know, most of the time when I do well in tournaments, I know going into the tournament I'm going to do well. And I knew we were going to catch a lot of fish. I had caught a lot of fish the week before in the BFL tournament, and just felt like I was a little bit unlucky in that tournament. But we literally launched that morning, got in the boat, and said, "Where do you want to go?" And this is an area that we've caught these fish in here before doing this in the springtime. It's a very small window when these fish do this. But we literally, it's like, you want to go that way, you want to go that way, you want to go that way, you want to go that way. And we went that way. And it was a heck of a fun day. So let's just jump right in here. I will point out a couple of things. So you're going to see early in the day the cadence. So we started out with Steve throwing a frog and me flipping because it's a nice complimentary way. We were going to be close enough to this stuff I could flip on it. And you don't see me. I catch a few small fish. But pretty early in, it's pretty obvious that these fish want to eat a frog. The water's dropping, it's pulling them out a little bit, and it's harder to get close to them. Some of these trees have gotten much shallower. So Steve puts a pretty good whipping on me here right off the bat, and you'll see later in the morning I get control of the trolling motor and I get him a little payback. Matter of fact, I'm not pointing any fingers, but I think I caught all three of the fish we weighed, but nonetheless, we had a fun day. So let's jump into the fishing right here, and this is 2 minutes into the morning. Maybe, I think this is Steve's third cast right here. It took him all of 2 casts with a frog to get bit. It's free him and you won't have any weight.
Before I put him in there.
Yeah, put him in there. Let's see what a live well feels like. I heard him get it.
Huh?
I heard him get it.
Yeah, I wasn't even moving.
A little better, huh?
Two of them screwed my frogs.
So you'll see there, so we started in what we call the needle grass. And needle grass to me is the little green grass that just looks like needles sticking up. That is not to be confused with hay grass. But early in the morning, you can see it's very low light. Those fish are up in that needle grass and they're on a feed, they're cruising. And you'll see Steve is working that frog really fast. He's covering water with that frog. And he caught several fish out of that needle grass really fast. I think he probably caught our limit in 10 or 15 minutes. I make a comment here in a video that we've got our limit, but actually we had our limit before that. So you'll see here's a couple more fish, including one about 4 pounds that Steve catches.
Good one there, Ken. That thing's 4.5, 5 pounder. Just flip him in here and let's go. You need that frog on.
Yep.
frog on that spinnerbait. He was hooked. You got a frog like that for me? Oh, there's a black one on, and I got another in there.
Now, obviously, I probably should have sat down and grabbed the net for that fish, because that's the kind of fish that gets you paid, especially in these street fish tournaments. But I didn't. It's been a little bit lazy, and truthfully, I didn't think it was as good a fish as it was when he flopped it in the boat. But what's funny here is you'll hear him say, "You need to get a frog on," and we're in his boat. He wanted to fish out of his boat, which I'm fine with. And I said, "Hey, get me a frog." And listen to the cost he wants for this frog, the price he wants for this frog.
Those are $71 because you can't find them nowhere. I just found one right here.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Willis? I gotta get out of this prison cell someday. What time is it?
6:39.
Morning, boys and girls. Ken Smith Fishing. Fishing the Outlaw Outdoors Father's Day tournament the day before Father's Day. I asked Clint why he didn't put it on Father's Day, and he said, well, we were afraid some guys wouldn't fish it.
Damn, there's another about 3 pounder.
And sorry about Moon Pie's language, but y'all know Moon Pie.
I didn't say a cuss word.
Yeah, you did.
I said, dang it.
Okay, he said dang it. Anyway, we've decided next year he's going to have it on Mother's Day, and he's going to call it I Never Get to Fish Another Tournament. Anyway, it's 6, we can start fishing at 6:30. It's 6:39. We've got our limit. Pie just caught one about maybe 4 pounds, 4.5 on a frog. So I'm tying a frog on, and we're going to fling it around in here for a little while, and then we're going to go out deep and fish a little bit. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully we can get some good footage for y'all this morning.
So there you go. Not wanting to just let me borrow a frog, but nonetheless. Now, this is a lesson learned. So when you're throwing these frogs up here, every once in a while, a good fish is going to miss that frog. And I had rigged as a follow bait, laying on the deck where it was quick to get to, my favorite 5-inch Senko and a baby bass, 15-pound Seagull fluorocarbon, a 3/0 EWG hook on a loose Carolina rig rod, and Steve had one blow up on a frog, missed him, it fouled his frog, and immediately I pitched back in here, and here's the result of that.
So the camera died a few minutes ago, and you know, choosing a proper partner is not about a guy who can catch fish, because I just looked for a good bird dog. So Moon Pie bird dog me one up with the frog, missed it, and I pitched my little Senko in there, and let me show you what I caught. So that is going to help our average. That fish is 22 inches long, 21 inches long. It probably don't weigh 5 pounds, maybe 6, but we got that in a 4-pounder so far.
So the lesson there is have a follow bait when you're fishing a topwater, because some of them are going to miss it, and you got to put something in there. And the story I didn't tell in that video was I pitched that Senko in there right where he missed that fish, and he turned and threw in another spot. I don't know why, but he hooks up on a fish, and I'm watching him fight that fish, and it jumps, and it's like 2.5. And I'm like, all right, well, that doesn't matter. And I look around, and my line's swimming off, and that's where that was our first about a 5-pound fish that you saw there. Maybe I think actually that fish wound up weighing 5.5. So there you go. Let's watch a few more fish catches.
Play in and crap.
All right, so once again, when the battery was off, I went back to back. I caught another keeper, and then I caught a 412. So our small fish is a 412 now. I think we've got probably, our 3 probably weigh 15. They might weigh a little bit more than that. So pretty fun morning.
Yeah.
Big one.
2.5.
You're on that
That frog was hung on that limb. Well, I mean, it hey,
That ain't the same fish.
you don't think?
No, that was way off of where you got that. Chunky little fish. Needless to say, the frog bite is on. We've probably caught, how many fish have we caught today? 25, 30 fish. We've called, I know the two biggest we've called is a 350 and a 380, so it's been a heck of a fun day. I open my live wells up when I leave so they dry out. I got there last night and looked in and them live wells were full of big orange crawfish.
Ooh, I bet they smell good.
Actually, they were totally dried out, so it was fine.
Talking into it.
Cut it off. Am I not? Are you sure I'm not in this one? What are you doing to me?
Oh my God, it's really in. Oh, that's a hell. That's that same one as this one.
You got one with you. See the one with you? You got one with you. Oh! That's a solid 3 3/4. No, he ain't gonna help. Did you see Moon Pie trying to not let me catch that fish? There was another one, same size with him when we pulled him out of there. He had just missed that fish a couple minutes ago. That was fun. They are so shallow.
So I have a friend online, Lou Martinez, who has also a video channel. Gosh, I believe it's called Beyond the Bounds is the name of his channel. And we were talking, and Lou fished as a co-angler in a BFL up on the Chesapeake. And I think, matter of fact, let me look at this real quick. I'm going to tell you what he said to me. So Lou's text message to me was, my one fish as a co-angler got me 44th out of 95 boaters. My boater did not catch a fish. People ask me all the time. So we live here in Richardson, Texas. We have a home in Zavala as well. People ask me, why do you drive 4 hours to go fishing? And this video is why. Yeah, I could fish Cedar Creek, I could fish Texoma, I could fish lots of lakes around. Ray Hubbard, Louisville, Grapevine, which apparently is really good fishing, but pretty small. But I make that drive because the fishing is this good. It's this much fun to catch the number of fish that we caught and the weight we caught. And this is not odd. This is just, you go down there and you catch a lot of fish. So guys ask me all the time, why do you drive so far to go fishing? This is why right here. So by the way, as you're doing this, so I have my GoPro clipped on Moon Pie's windshield, and sorry, I got mosquitoes flying around me. And you got to pay attention to where you're going when this is going on. So Moon Pie gets hung up, and here comes the result. Luckily, my camera was undamaged.
No, no. They still bite a frog up here, Ken.
Golly bum.
They still bite a frog up here.
I saw that one get it.
So that's kind of our day. We had a fun day. We caught good fish. We won a couple $1,000 out of this deal, which I was thrilled with. In a pretty salty field of locals. I did break a rod during the day, which was that TP rod that I've been throwing that frog on. I closed the doggone box lid on it. I just broke the tip off of it, so the rod's fine. But luckily, I looked over and had another rod that I felt like, actually, I originally picked up the Super Duty rod, which of course is a 711, and we're trying to skip these baits up under these cypress trees and in these bushes, and it wasn't all cypress tree bites. And the note here is, once that sun got up, now those fish were super aggressive real early, but once the sun peaked up a little bit, the only place to get bit was in those shady spots. So you'll notice we're not overhand lobbing frogs. We are firing those frogs when they're side-armed and underhanded, and that's the only way to get those bites on a regular basis. And so that 711 rod, I made about 5 casts with it, and it was just too much rod. So I had to sit down, take a reel off a rod, put a reel on a rod, and this is the rod and reel I used. I thought y'all might be interested in which rod I switched to. And I got to tell you, I'm not sure that it's not my new favorite frog rod. So here's a little bit on that frog rod.
Hey guys, a couple of things I want to share with y'all. Hi Stella. So interestingly, I had been throwing that TP rod as my frog rod, and I broke the tip off that rod yesterday. I closed a rod box lid on it. So luckily, I had this, and I was in, as y'all saw in Moonpie's boat. This is a Magnum jig rod, so it's the custom Speed Stick Light series. The model number on that rod is, hopefully you can read that, it is LF, sorry about the shadows guys, LMLMJR. It's a 7.3. So I originally picked up that, by the way, the same rod I always flip with, the SW, the Super Duty 3, and it's just too long. This rod is the Magnum jig rod. And I got to tell you, I really like this rod for what we were doing. As y'all saw, we were skipping frogs up under stuff. It's not too long. The rod can't be too long, and it can't be too stiff. You got to have something with some tip on it to build the speed for when you're throwing that frog. The frog we were throwing was just a basic Spro popping frog, 65-pound smackdown braid. The reel I was using yesterday, and I've talked about this reel quite a bit. That's a very inexpensive Mach series reel. That particular reel is MS1H. 3 other things about this rod. Number 1, I love the wind grips, and if you're not lazy and you'll just wipe those down, they'll come completely clean again. I get a lot of questions about what's the tape guys see on the bottom of my rods. So my old team partner Dickie Newberry and I had a bunch of identical rods. We both only use Lew's. So I wrapped, that's something I learned from my buddy John Gunnels when they fished together. I just bought some superhero tape and wrapped at the bottom of all my rods, and I just have left it that way because I'm still in and out of the boat with other guys. So that's just a little tip there. Something else I wanted to mention. Last thing, you'll also note on a lot of my reels, or almost all my reels, you'll see a little number written on there. You see that one's 10, although it's upside down. I keep in the notes section of my iPhone, I keep one that's just called Reels, and of course it still says 2017 because I've done this for years. But what you'll see is there's that rod, so there's reel number 10. It's the Mach SS MS1H, 65-pound smackdown. When I put it on there, looks like maybe I need to replace that pretty soon. And I've also made a note now, I make a note of the speed of that reel, because when you get multiple reels, sometimes that number gets rubbed off. So when you have multiple reels, and some of them have different reel speeds, that's really handy to have. I noted on here earlier, yeah, right there. So on reel number 8, you see I've noted there's only 75 yards of line on there. I was flipping with that rod, and I had a little bit of line left on the spool. So that's why that one says 75 yards, so I remember that it's not completely full of line. I probably won't throw a frog with only 75 yards of line on it. So hopefully that's some helpful tips, and a really, really handy little frog rod that I had never used as a frog rod before, but I really liked it, and it's super lightweight, and they ate it, I caught them. Thanks, guys.
So that's a wrap on the Outlaw Outdoors. Again, we had a great time, had a nice stringer. And we will be back down there next weekend. We did not fish the shootout this weekend. We had some stuff going on here in Dallas. So Sarah and I will be back down over the 4th of July weekend. Hope to get out. Bodie, don't be growling. Sorry about that. Just like what happened there in tournament day, had a battery die on us. So there. So Anyway, we'll be back down Rayburn 4th of July weekend, so we took a weekend off. We hope to get some good footage for you guys. I've got a couple of ideas of some videos I want to try to shoot with some guys if there's time, so stay tuned, and hopefully I'm going to be able to show you guys some offshore fishing if everything works out well. And I'm still chasing Todd Driscoll to do that video. If you've not seen the video we shot of him in the Outlaw Outdoors, or after the Outlaw Outdoors tournament the other day, it's going to be, I always got to think about this. I believe it's in this corner right here, wherever that eye just popped up. So there you go. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys on the water in a week. Look forward to it, guys.